Hello and welcome back to TheSadFan, where we talk about the good, the bad, and everything that made you sad from the previous week. And this week, we got some events in. I hope you follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and everywhere that you get your mindless entertainment from, wherever that may be. And we're going to start where we always start, at what made us sad. We were able to get out to a few sporting events this week, seeing Peterborough United for the last time while we live here in Peterborough, that we were able to get out to see some rugby. I got to see rugby for the first time since I've lived in England. I've been here 3 years and I've never been to a rugby match until this weekend. I got to go see the Harlequins, and that was fun. They got beat up pretty good. They got beat pretty good, but it was fun to be a part of that atmosphere, and there's not a lot of atmosphere like live sports. There's nothing like live sports, and we see that in a lot of things right now. We saw that when Steph Curry was closing out the Grizzlies for the 7 seed to go in and play the Rockets, and we're going to talk about that here in a bit. But it makes me sad that I'm leaving a community that I've become so familiar with here in Peterborough, leaving a team that I really love. Obviously, I'm a Villa fan for life. Villa is my team, but as someone moving to a new country, I love sport, and I wanted to adopt a team. I wanted to be ingrained into the community that is one that surrounds Peterborough United, proud to be posh. And it was great. It was great while I was here. The fans were amazing. The games were a blast. I only ever witnessed one defeat at the hands of Wrexham, and that was this year. And it was never boring. It was always fun. It was always a good time. The stadium environment here in Peterborough is phenomenal. The atmosphere is phenomenal. The songs, the chants, they are phenomenal. And it's just been great to go out to these games. Let's talk about it. Stockport United, you got gifted a draw there, huh? Peterborough United beat up on Stockport the entire game, and the referee was absolutely trash. It was one of the worst ref games I have ever seen, as they were out there grabbing players in the box, taking dives in the box, trying to get anything they could, and the referees finally gave them an opportunity in the 90th minute, and they capitalized. And it's just miserable to see it go like that. It should have been a win. It should have been 3 points for Peterborough, and they didn't get that because of a referee. So it's one of the downsides to being in League One, is you're dealing with incompetence at the referee level, but it is what it is. The game is over. We can't go back in the past. They are mid-table. They're not getting relegated this season, but hopefully they can take some momentum, and this won't provide it, right? A draw won't provide it. Getting robbed won't provide it, but hopefully they can take some momentum, take it, and apply it next year, because we are going to follow Peterborough still here at the TheSadFan. We're going to make sure we keep up with them, and we're going to make sure we support them from afar. Now, we, like I said, went to a rugby game. What a blast that is. It's pretty insane, and it is very similar. Like, as much as they don't want to say it's similar to an NFL atmosphere, there is a lot of stoppages, usually due to injury, right? And lower leg injuries, things like that, are occurring pretty frequently. Sadly, I think we did see one concussion at our game, but it is so similar to NFL football with the amount it stops. It's so cool to be outside at an event in almost like what is around this stadium, a carnival-like atmosphere, where, yeah, you have the team store that had a line around the corner to get in to get your merchandise, which of course we did, and we were rocking a Harlequins kit while we were there. You have like food trucks around. It's not like stadium vending. You have beer trucks everywhere. People were just having a good time out, eating, drinking together. No one was, while we were there, trying to fight one another. It was a blast to be at this rugby match. It was a blast to get to see something like that before we leave here and move on to shoot from Germany, because we will be shooting from Germany here very soon, here in the coming months. But that was an experience that's not one to pass up. And of course, another thing that makes me sad, my favorite team out here in England, my favorite team is in the Premier League. Obviously, it's Aston Villa, and we're gonna get to go to a game here, and we're gonna on social media, we'll send some clips. We'll post some stuff from Villa Park, as it'll be the last time we go to Villa Park, at least while we live here. You never know. May take a flight down and catch a game again. It's not too far, not too expensive, but it was awesome after the rugby match to walk to a pub find a pub that was going to put on the Villa Newcastle game and just have a blast, have a couple pints with some friends with that you've never met before, by the way, and friends that go back 20 years. But have some friends that you've never met before, have some friends that go back 20 years, bring them all together, and you have an event. And Villa did put on a show in that game, running up the score as they should and as they need to do based on goal differential. But 4-1 against Newcastle United, it was so much fun to be in that environment, watch what was going on, and see how everybody gets involved. Everybody has a good time. Everybody was enjoying themselves in this pub. And it was great to go and have to get on the train a winner last night after the Harlequins game, where we weren't winners until we went to the pub and watched Villa play. And like I said, they thrashed Newcastle, which was so great. Anytime you could thrash a team that's at the top of the table, what a blast that is. And let's get on to the last thing that made us sad this week. It's sad now that programs have debased themselves to putting what is, I mean, okay, we'll give you one of the players that we're about to talk about, but Shedeur Sanders, Shedeur Sanders being on top of, pardon me, having his jersey retired, having his name put up on the stadium, and for what? For what did he do? Nothing happened. You could say, well, he brought in so much money, and you're not wrong. He did bring in so much money to Colorado, but at the end of the day, the team wasn't successful. It was more successful than it was, but that's because it was a dumpster fire. It's easier to take a place that is failing and make them mediocre than it is to take a place that's great and keep them great. It is a simpler task. And that's exactly what they did. And they got fat on bad teams. They barely beat teams in the top 25. Their biggest claim to fame was they upset a TCU team, which turned out to be a bad TCU team that was in the finals the year before. And yeah, that was it. That was all they did. This Colorado team and these players, I don't know. Travis Hunter's going to be a dog at the next level. We think, we hope. We don't want to see him be bad at the next level. But at the end of the day, what we saw here is just celebration of mediocrity and pandering to Deion Sanders to keep Deion Sanders around the University of Colorado a few seasons longer. We'll see what he's able to do next year. We'll see if this NIL game is able to help Colorado continue to get better. But at this point in time, it's a little ridiculous to retire the jersey numbers of players that were there for 2 years, players that transferred in, they didn't start their journey there, and players, well, one of which was just, decent. Shedeur Sanders, his reputation was far larger than his ability. His ability is just okay. Like I said at his ceiling, he will be Teddy Bridgewater. At the at his floor, he's Seneca Wallace. He's not going to be like, I hope I'm wrong again. I always want to be wrong about this, but I don't see him being anything great in the NFL. Like maybe he could reach Chad Pennington status because people are confused about his athletic ability because of who his father is. He's not as athletic as people want to say, and people want to say, well, he's got great feet. I don't know. I don't know that he has great feet. We're going to see if he has great feet at the next level because he is going to be drafted higher than he should, and he is going to play for a bad team, and he's probably going to get an opportunity to get in there and start right away, and we're going to see who this player really is, and I don't think we're going to be impressed. I think it's going to be a lot of checkdowns, and that's what we saw at Colorado. And people want to negate that because the highlight reel throws are the ones you saw. But I'm not going to show you a boring screen pass to get you to watch the game. Of course, I'm going to show you the one good throw he made, and they're not going to put it on highlight tape either. It's just like social media. You're not going to put what you sucked at on social media. So why would they put what Shedeur Sanders was bad at on his film? And I think a lot of experts and teams are now coming out and saying, hey, like, it was a lot of hype, but we don't think he's actually that good. We don't think he actually has that much arm talent, and it's going to be shown. And we're going to see, I think it's going to be a big drop in the draft, but probably not because quarterbacks are hard to come by. This guy is consensus the second best quarterback in this draft, so he will go far too early to a team that is far too bad for him to be any good at all. The last ride. It looks like we have 2 last rides going, and I'm sure the Warriors are going to deny this, but we've got Golden State right now, coming off of a win in game 1 in their series against the Rockets. And I told Ime Udoka he may have played around and he's going to find out. And you know what I really want to say there, but let's keep it PG for the kids that listen. Because the Warriors went out there. Steph Curry put up over 30 points. Jimmy Butler was a dog in this game. And the Rockets looked like they had no offense to speak of. And if the Rockets can't muster offense, and if they can't suffocate a Steph Curry, if they can't find a way to slow him down, it's going to be a short series for the Rockets. Because the Rockets got by on having decent defense and some sporadic scorers. And it did not look good in game 1. 85 points. Say the lights got too bright. Say it was, the young team entering the arena for the first time against the savvy veteran who has been there before. A lot of times they have been there before. And perhaps it was too bright. Maybe it was. But what happened is they got smacked down. The Grizzlies got smacked down too, and I'm so happy because, gosh, if there is one player that annoys the shit out of me, it is Dillon Brooks. Sorry, I said I'd keep it PG for the boys and girls. Dillon Brooks is one of the most annoying NBA players that has ever existed, and he's not just annoying because he's an irritant. He's annoying because he's bad at it. His insults suck. He's been spun around by Steph Curry. He's been dunked on by LeBron James, and he never stops talking. And you know what? God be with him for having that kind of confidence in himself, but it is annoying. That's what makes him annoying. He's had a great season, so I'm not going to take away from that and say you're not even good. But he's bad at being the irritant. He's bad at being the villain, and he thinks he's good at it. And really what he's good at is being the annoying little kid in school. And it's weird to say that about somebody that's like 6'7". But that is what he is good at. And I'm really hoping that the Warriors can keep this going because, like I said, this segment is dedicated to the last ride, and this might be it. Yes, they signed Jimmy Butler to a 2-year contract, but these players are in their mid to late 30s. Like, you look at Steph Curry, and because he doesn't age at all, you think he is someone that is young. But sad story is that he is not young, and that this team, I don't know if it's put together well enough to compete with teams at the highest level. And we're going to talk about those teams here in a bit. We're not going to dig too deep into the NFL draft. That is a topic for next week. And keep in mind that this show will be airing a little bit later next week due to gathering all of our stuff and making sure that we have proper draft recap coverage. And that's what we want to provide you. So we're going to air a little bit later to give us a little bit more time to shoot, gather some information, and make sure we do the best post-draft show we possibly can for you. Back to the Warriors. If they make it through and the Lakers find a way to not lose to Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves, we could have one of the best second-round showdowns that we have ever had when we see the Warriors play the Lakers. Now, the Lakers let us down in game 1. Luka put up 37 points. So it's a little wild in a game where Luka gives you 37 points that you don't do much of anything else to continue that ball to roll. But JJ Redick needs to figure it out because there is no reason why this team should lose to the Timberwolves. However, they are on a lot of people's short list for the upset. Okay, some people thought that the Heat were going to be one of those teams that was going to upset their opponent, but we'll talk about that here in a minute. The Lakers, I don't think are going to get upset in this round. I think the Lakers are going to pull it together. They need to. Now, they need to figure out what they're doing with their big man situation because right now they don't have any big men to compete with the big men that exist in Minnesota. And Anthony Edwards is, one, he's a superstar. So when I refer to him as a complimentary piece, I'm only talking about this series. In this series, he is a perfect complimentary piece to play inside out against this Lakers team who, like I said a second ago, have no big men. Like, what are they going to do? Put LeBron James and Luka Doncic down in the post? Luka Doncic can't play defense. LeBron James is over 40 years old. So they've really got to figure this out. And it's going to be a big task for JJ Redick, but it's a task that I think when they put their minds together, they're going to be able to rise to. Now, saying that, that means that the Warriors have to keep up what they're doing. They've stole a game now in Houston. And I know Ime is a good coach, but I think that the Warriors need to really get this done fast. Kind of like they were able to dispatch the Memphis Grizzlies. They need to get rid of this Rockets team because a team on these knees, they need to get as much rest as they can. And how do you get that rest? You get that rest by eliminating teams quickly. So if they could steal another one in Houston and get it back to their hometown and get it back to home, anything is possible, and we could be set up for one of the best series ever in the second round of the playoffs, as I stated earlier. I really hope it comes to fruition. I cannot wait for something like that to happen. I think America will be glued to their televisions if we get LeBron James, the Lakers, Steph Curry, and the Golden State Warriors in that second round game. And I just want to give a shout out to one more last ride. How about John Cena taking out Cody Rhodes for the belt in his final WrestleMania ever? And what's kind of funny about this is, let's say the quiet part out loud. They always say it's their last time. It's their last time. It's the last time they're going to do it. Who really knows? Because they always want to come back to the WWE and get that pop. One more pop. It's an addiction, right? That live crowd pop when they hear your music play and you are walking out onto that stage, getting into that ring. It is an addiction that many of these people have. It's also an addiction to cash. And who knows how much is going to be enough to get him back in the ring. But for now, congratulations to John Cena on WrestleMania, on what was his last ride. And also, thank you, Charlotte Flair, for putting on a show. She lost, but man, anytime Charlotte Flair shows up, she shows up, and you get a great match. And that's what we had at this year's WrestleMania. So let's move on to our final topic, Unbeatable. All right, so here we go. We've got Cavs, Thunder in full swing. These are two teams that America has been waiting to see because now they are on America's stage with the playoffs, and they did not disappoint. They had no rust at all in these games. Now you've got the Cleveland Cavaliers, who were picked to be upset possibly by the Miami Heat, and all they did was come out and thump the Miami Heat in their first game. And did they look great? They looked unbeatable in that game against Miami. And Thunder, they're not going to be shown up here. The Thunder came out and they rolled Memphis. Just poured it on them. Somebody throw in the white towel on this game because it might be over. They were up by almost 50 points, if not 50 points at one point in this game. Chet Holmgren was raining in threes when your center is stepping back and doing Dirk Nowitzki things, just pouring threes in and dominating. It's going to be a long day. When SGA didn't really have to do much of anything in that game because it was a team sport for the Thunder this weekend against the Memphis Grizzlies, you know that the Grizzlies are in trouble, and you know that there's so much to be said about what these two teams might do, which is bankrupt the NBA. Obviously, I'm joking, but God, it looks like a collision course right now. Cleveland looks phenomenal against Miami, and granted, Miami shouldn't even be here in the 8 seed. Against all odds, they made it. But Cleveland, gosh, they look good. And it's going to be hard to beat them because they've looked like, if not the best team comparative to the Thunder, one of the best teams we've seen in a very, very long time, probably the last 3 years maybe, 4 years maybe. And they are rolling. It's complete as far as the way these two teams play, both them and the Thunder. So if we have a collision course of Cleveland, like we've been saying since the beginning, it's not a stretch. Like it's not, we're out on a limb here. They've been the two best teams for a while. How bad is that for the NBA? Both these teams are terribly small market. Both these teams don't have a ton of players of name value. So, yeah, we had the What a Player Wants commercial that ran forever. Like, the Thunder are getting some play on television, some ad space. But outside of that, if you don't know who they are, you don't know who they are. Like, they have to announce what team they play for because these are not widely followed teams. So if these two teams continue the role they're on and eventually make it to the NBA Finals to face one another, what are you going to do to market this series to a public of casual fans to keep your sport growing? I don't think there's much of anything. I think what the NBA is hoping for right now is some upsets. The NBA needs some upsets. I mean, these are beautiful stories, but at the end of the day, just like in college basketball and March Madness, you want the blue bloods. The fans want the blue bloods because if you can't recognize the players, you can damn sure recognize the colors. And that's what the NBA is banking on. And right now, if Kevin Durant Westbrook and Harden aren't playing for the Thunder, you don't know who's on that team, and you don't know how to root for them, who to root for them, and if you should root for them. And I will tell you, you should, because they are one of the best teams in the NBA. But here we are at the end of a basketball season. We have two of the smallest markets with two of the best teams that we have seen in quite some time. And after this weekend, they look like they are meant to meet in the NBA championship. We'll bring you more on this NBA playoff and what we are going to be following as it pertains to the NFL draft next week on TheSadFan. We can't wait to see you there.
Back to the block, I'm scamming. Back in the shop, I'm scamming. Get it off a dummy, I'm scamming.